Hello, superhumans! Did you know you already possess extraordinary superhuman abilities, including the power to remote view and access hidden information? Well, you do, and these gifts are natural to all of us. But they're often clouded by trapped emotional energy, ancestral patterns, or energetic blocks. The clearer and more healed your energy field becomes, the stronger and clearer your abilities will begin to flow. And in these videos, we're trying to inspire you to awaken your own superhuman powers. And you can begin clearing your own energy blocks by either booking a private session with me or using the step-by-step multi-dimensional energy healing map, mdhmap.com, and those links will be in the description box below. For now, please know that all these things are available to beginners and even pros. So you don't have to be an expert. You already got this. Come along on this journey and leave us a comment. So if you will, let's get into it. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Christine and I. We're two QHHT practitioners, and we're looking at, through associated remote viewing, what caused the shutdown, or what is behind the shutdown of CERN. And so there's a lot of speculation, a lot of remote viewers, a lot of psychics have looked, and it got crazy today, Christina. It got crazy today.
Wow. I'll be interested to hear all about that.
Well, I know you tuned in, but I'll just tell you what I got, because what surprised me is that, you listen to a lot of what the psychics and remote viewers are seeing, and some of it hits and sometimes it doesn't hit. Now, ours may hit, ours may be wrong. But what I would like to do before we get started is to invite everybody here that is watching, that we're here to inspire you to expand your own consciousness. And hopefully this video will allow you to do that, because by no means of anything that we're doing is anything that you can't do, because everybody can do this work.
Yep.
So, all right, with that said, what I got was so astounding to me, because what I noticed when I did the associated remote view today is that I had a tendency to come into awareness that my approach was biased. And my approach was biased because I had listened to other remote viewers and other psychics that I follow, and I'm like, so I can tell there's this, when you can get your own stuff out of the road, like get your own emotions and biases out of the way and get yourself in neutrality. I was so shocked by what I was getting versus what they're getting. And then I asked the question, well, why are they getting that? And why am I getting this? So I then assumed, which you can't ever do, I am probably way off base here, because everybody is going down this other rabbit hole. And so when I sat with that for a while, and, feel free to disagree here, but what I got was that as humanity, one person speaks it, and then maybe you hear what I have to say, and then these other people hear what I have to say. We begin to form a collective consciousness or opinion about it. And when these remote viewers look at it, they're picking up on this different bits of information without asking, is that the source of the information? And there's where it shifted for me. Is this what is actually happening? Is this the root source of it? And then I got no. And then what I got, it was an informational cloud, if you will. So I think that's when I started really going down the rabbit hole. I said, oh my word, this remote viewing took some time, right?
Right.
Once I realized I was actually picking up on this information cloud, if you will, and not tuned into the root source, I then tuned into the root source. And that's where it got so mind blowing for me. And I've got my list up here, so I'll be looking up just because I don't want to miss anything. So when I tuned in, I'm asking, you know, did CERN, because we'll talk about the whole of it, but right now the questions I was asking, did CERN change the timelines? And I got no. And remember how words are so important.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right? And then I realized I have to ask the question, did CERN change the wave? So it's like a wave. So it's a time wave. So imagine, if you will, you're sitting on a boat and you're riding, this wave, and another wave comes crashing in. Your boat can shift and go with the other wave. I feel like that's what CERN was about. And then I'm like, oh my word, why did they shut it down? Is there something wonky going on? And then that's when this massive download came in. And you know me, I'll get it like a fire hose. And then you got to sit with it and sort of break it all down. What I got was they shut it down at first it was for money. And I'm like, it's because there's lack of money. No, it wasn't because of lack of money. They're actually shutting it down because they want their resources to go into CERN 2.0, or the upgraded version of the new CERN, which is supposed to take place, when I did the research on it, in 2030. Right. And if you remember how all the conspiracy theorists are all worried about 2030, what is up with 2030? There is something taking place in 2030, and it's the plan of this Hadron Collider machine 2.0. So it feels like it's going to take that long. Now, bear with me. So as this information is starting to load in, I'm like, does this have anything to do with the Mandela effect? And I kept getting, it was like this massive screaming, yes, this is everything to do with the Mandela effect. And so I did my little research as I'm kind of getting this information to come in. And what I got was the first Mandela effect was noticed in 2009. When did CERN, the Hadron Collider, get started up? 2008. So you're like, it wasn't noticed before then, but it's noticed after. So I'm thinking, oh my gosh, are the people in control of CERN, or the Hadron Collider, are they in service to self, or are they in service to others? And this is what I got. They're in service to self, but the scientists, they're in service to self because they're like, ooh, this is cool information. This is really giving us some information. What are we going to learn from this? And basically the goal for them is to understand the structure of the universe.
Right.
The results have been this Hadron Collider creates these time waves due to what I'm understanding is, what is it? Fractured? Artificial
frequency?
Yes. It's creating like an artificial frequency. And when it does that artificial, because they haven't got it really honed in, they're realizing from watching it that they change reality. So then I'm like, wait a minute, is this changing history, or is this changing human consciousness? And actually, this is getting even more strange. I got both are true. So there's a timeline that goes through, and the wave can come in and shift human consciousness to another timeline. It is so hard to wrap your head around. And, I don't fully understand it. So what I got is this. The timelines and time waves are not the same. Timelines are the actual tracks or paths of the experience. Time waves are the energetic currents or pulses that move through time and can influence those tracks. And what CERN is doing is creating these time waves. and therefore it's influencing the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
So they can measure it like, oh, now people look at Monocle Man. We all remember playing Monopoly as kids. He
Right.
had a monocle. The banker had a monocle in Monopoly. But today, there's nothing historic about it. When you go back to Hasbro, they never had a monocle on the banker. And so that's the Mandela effect, right?
Right.
So it that particle, that wave shifted particles enough so that if 1.0 is doing this, then what are we going to see if they take that knowledge, what they learned, and then increase it? It's going to be like a lot more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
I know Hadron Collider 2 is going to be a whole lot more powerful than Hadron Collider 1.
Right.
So, so anyway, the Hadron Collider influences time waves, but does not rewrite timelines. So that's how it's working.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's this mechanism that it can explain the Mandela effect. When you said let's look at why they shut down the Hadron Collider, I was
Mm-hmm.
like,
You were like, yawn.
yeah, okay, whatever. And then
Whatever.
it took me down a rabbit hole. And I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. Every new thing, I'm like, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
So at any rate, so that's kind of where we are. Now, when I said the scientists, they're sort of in it for themselves. They want the knowledge. They want to understand the structure of the universe and the multiverse or whatever universe, the quantum field. And they feel truly, I think, at their core that this is how I'm reading the energy, is that the scientists involved do not see that they're messing with, well, they sort of know they're messing with reality. They're not dumb, right?
Right.
But
Right.
they don't think it's enough going to influence like your everyday life. So if
Mm-hmm.
we can do this, can we do that? They want to know at the expense of the rest of us, because they're not thinking about the rest of us. They're only focused on what can we learn?
Right.
What can we learn? What can we
Right.
learn? And maybe this can help us in some other capacity. So I feel like there's justification going on with some of these scientists that are involved. What can we learn that can benefit? But that's their justification for moving forward with something. They're like, maybe we shouldn't be messing with this, because
Right.
they feel like there is that split in this teeter-tottering going on.
Mm-hmm.
But the entities that are funding this, somewhere in that chain of command,
Mm-hmm.
there's like a core. They want to control reality.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't, and they're in service to self.
Right.
They're it is a very dark energy. And when I try to learn more about who it went completely blank. It would not give me the information. I could not see it. I couldn't tell you who it is. All I can see is this dark blob in service to self and not in our best interest.
Right.
That's what I kept getting. But who it is, maybe there's a stronger remote viewer than me that can actually get in there and find out. I could not see it. And I couldn't figure out how to get around it to see it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know when I saw the video, it just made me mad that CERN was capable of producing what it was producing.
What
And
video are you referring to?
the one I shared with you.
Okay, I'll
The one
leave
I
that in
shared
the
with you.
description box so people can watch that video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one I shared with you, it just made me mad because I was like, you're telling me that somebody can shift my reality without my permission. That pissed me off. I'm like, that's not okay. I am not okay with that. I didn't sign up for this. Yes, I incarnated here and now for a reason. Yes, I know. But somebody else shifted my reality, not me.
But you learned about it, right? So
Yeah.
you have to look at the standpoint you
Yeah.
learned about it. So that's kind of
So now
that
what?
balancing. It's a balancing. So
Yeah.
they can only take control of what you're giving permission for them to control,
Right.
even when they shift through the hadron collider.
Right.
Anyway, I'll leave the link for the video she's referring to in the description box. But when I listened to it initially, I said, yeah, that sort of tracks.
Mm-hmm.
But what kept pulling me back is that, again, it's sort of focusing on what the cloud is, what people are assuming. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like somebody might have a piece, and over here somebody might have a piece,
Right.
and they're sort of getting pieces. But
Right.
I wanted to go to the source.
Right.
What's really going on?
Right.
And so, and again, you'll get the answer if you know the right question to ask.
Yes.
And it all comes down to what words, because what I was saying, is it shifting timelines? And so when she's talking about shifting timelines, I kept getting no, no, no. And then I went, oh, wait a minute. That's when it came in as time waves.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I kind of did the research. So y'all out there watching,
Yeah.
get on Grok or Claude or ChatGPT, find out the difference between timeline and time waves, and see if that doesn't make sense with what you're understanding when you do your research about CERN.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the energy I'm picking up. And it feels to me that there is an agenda. They keep calling it the 2030 agenda.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm okay with people calling me a conspiracy theorist, because I think in order to be a scientist or scientifically minded, if you are a truth searcher, you don't shut down anything based on what somebody else says to think or do.
Mm-hmm.
You actually have to ask your own questions and do your own research, and not just go with the flow because that's where the flow is telling you to go. It's like, if you remember back during COVID, this is the hot topic, right? They said, trust the science. Okay, well, isn't the science part of questioning? And why were those who questioned the science were the ones who were shut down? You know, I don't know how many people I followed that were truly trying to get the information out on how to treat COVID that lost their channels. And you're like, what is going on? Aren't we supposed to be asking the question?
Mm-hmm.
Part of science is questioning the science, not just trust the science because somebody decided this is what you're supposed to think and feel. So I feel like to some degree, this is what's going on with the Hadron Collider.
Mm-hmm.
And I do feel that they're telling the truth, that they shut it down so that they can upgrade it. That feels very on point.
That's correct. That's what I got too. That's on point.
Mm-hmm.
That's on point.
But the scientists who are doing it, I feel, are just in their own little knowledge bubble. They want to know, they want to know, they want to know. To whatever detriment that is, it's just like they can't get outside of, I want to know, I want to know, I want to know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there are people who are funding it, who want to have the ability to control.
Right.
All right. I talked way too much.
But you had the biggest insight. I mean, I just threw the topic out and thought, well, this will be an interesting little discussion, and you got some great information, and I can validate the basics of what you're saying, because I went in after you started sharing with me all of your stuff. I'm just like, what the heck? It's like, okay.
I know. Totally shocked me too.
Right. I'm like, okay, wow. This is not the way I thought this was going to go at all. So I'm like, okay, trying to make sure that I'm really centered and not like pulling in any biased information. And because I haven't watched too much on this, I just have watched like one like little YouTube video. But so I went in and I'm like, okay, so what about time waves? And I was like, it's like I was asking the question, can the stuff produced by the Hadron Collider influence timelines? And I got no. And it's like, so are we talking about, and so I'm thinking, okay, so are we talking?
See, that's it, because that's what we're doing. We're picking up all the psychics and the remote viewers saying it's affecting timelines.
Right.
And like, when you get no, you're like, wait, what?
Yeah. I'm like, okay, so then, because I had read what you'd sent me, and I'm like, so then is it a time wave? And I got yes. And so I was like, okay, so the time wave affects the timeline. And yes. And I'm like, okay. Because I was not prepared to go down that rabbit hole.
I wasn't either.
At all.
I was not either. I was
At
like,
all.
whoa.
Yeah. And so I mean, what would you say to somebody who's like, so how do I keep myself from being influenced by these artificial frequencies that are created?
You know what? That's what we're going to talk about, because that's the important part, right?
Right. That's the super important part.
Mm-hmm. I think I made notes of it, because, I was thinking if anything that is brought into our awareness, we as the collective can influence what can happen.
Right.
So this is why, don't take our word for it. Everybody, you've got to do your own due diligence and look into this yourself, but be open and ask the question. Don't trust somebody who says, oh, this is the science, is what it says. Question the science, because that's what science is the constant testing of the parameters. Because otherwise, anybody with a nefarious hoodle-doer agenda can run amok with it, which it feels like that is the intention. So I feel like when I say the scientists are kind of on the bubble, I feel like some feel like, oh, this could really have a benefit to humanity, but that's my justification for doing what I'm doing.
Right.
Because I don't think some of the people have it in their nature to intentionally do harm. But that doesn't mean they can't be completely self-focused on trying to find the information on the structure of the universe. They want to know. They want to be the first part of it. We all remember, the famous scientists, and their egos are kind of get enmeshed in all that.
Right.
But at the root of it, going to that nefarious dark entity group, and that's how it feels. It feels like it's a collective. They want to use it to control us, right? And so with that, I would say that the remote viewers that I have watched, that part they're getting right. It is a method to control. Now that we've seen the results of the Mandela effect, like in the Bible, they talk about the lion lays down with the what?
The lion lays down with the lamb.
Right.
Right.
Not if you read the Bible now.
I know. Oh my God.
And I'm not into the Bible so much, I mean, I know about it, I've read it, but that little part, holy cow. Okay, so they know they can influence it. So if they can influence it this little bit with this, so if they up it, what can they control?
Right.
So as a collective, if we can all become educated in what they're doing, we can collectively shut that CERN down. I think we can do it as a collective. That's what I'm getting. All right, so let me just share with you my notes, okay?
Okay.
So basically, what I was asking is, the shift can happen at the level of a consciousness wave, and not a complete overriding of the physical timeline. So yes, that is true. Basically, because you are a sovereign being, a strong, coherent sense of sovereignty, your clear personal energy field and connection to your own higher self, your blueprint, your God source energy, that connection, and you can become well anchored. So not only are you, tied into the higher self. You're also
Right.
very anchored. You can actually buffer the storm. It's not that you won't
Cool.
notice it. It's not like you won't notice it. You're probably going to notice it, just like, the Berenstain Bears versus the Berenstein Bears. You're going to maybe notice it, and it might be more prevalent, but you are a sovereign being, your higher self, and you're connected. So this all goes into the spirituality, right? Get yourself ready and bubbled up. They cannot control it. And then the other part of this, the more educated we all become, and we all collectively adopt a world where that gets shut down, it will shut down. But we all have to collectively agree to that. But if you can't, so I guess the biggest thing to say is get yourself prepared.
Right.
And the rest will, don't worry about Sally, don't worry about Christina,
Right.
Christina, don't worry about, so and so. Let's focus on our own sovereignty and our own connectedness with God's source energy and being fully anchored. And then watch the miracle happen. The more and more of us that do this, we will shift out. We will not experience that timeline because we can influence it.
That's
I think
exactly what I wanted to hear.
Okay, so then I'm going to go ahead and ask you a question. So when you feel this out, and everybody watching, this is the question.
Okay.
Are we as a collective going to shut down CERN once and for all before it starts back up?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
we've already kind of, I feel like we already influenced this choice point.
Yes.
And so we've got 4 years to get our proverbial shit together.
Yeah, that means quit focusing on negative stuff. And anything you are triggered by, you need to go look in the mirror and ask, why are you triggered by it? Because at the end of the day, when you take your last breath, that ain't going to matter. What's going to matter is what you did to grow yourself. How much love did you give? How much, do people think about you in a positive way? Not that you're supposed to be focused on what other people think, but people remember what you've done, what you think, what you say versus, or how you act versus what you say. They don't remember that. They remember the actions you took. So create positive actions. Get out of fear and move towards positive. And that's it. That can be a paradigm shift, because if you're a negative thinker, you're going to be triggered. Let's just put it that way. If you're a positive thinker, you're not going to be triggered. So if you're triggered, you got to think, am I a positive thinker or a negative thinker? If you're being triggered, you're a negative thinker. And that plays out to the rest of our lives too, right? Our health.
Yeah.
Dr. Bruce Lipton talks about that a lot.
Yep.
Anyway, I have said way too much. All right, Christina, take away.
Take away?
The whole thing. What do you get out of all this?
What do I get out of this? Like, this was not where I thought we were going at all. It was quite the rabbit hole. But I think you got some really important information that everybody needs to hear. And I think, it's, 2026. We got 4 years. We got to get started. Got to get
start with ourselves, each and every one of us individually.
We got to get down to business.
I talked to an energy healer once, and she was so true, so on point. She said, you heal yourself, it ripples through the universe, right? Getting yourself out of negative thought patterns and emotions will begin to heal the universe. So if you're trying to be focused on, get out there and write the right meme to change somebody's mind, or get out there with your sign and protest, all that is staying in a fear mindset. You want to change the world, change the inner world first, and the rest will reflect back to you.
Right.
And
Right.
that's actually hard for people to do, because
Yeah.
people are always trying to go external. What is this affecting me, instead of knowing that I can affect that.
Right. Right. That's quite a paradigm shift.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And you can prove it to yourself. And I always say, go to my website, sallyknott.com. Go to my website, and on the front page is the video where I dissolve the clouds. Right.
Yes.
Because when you can dissolve a cloud, then you know within yourself that you control reality, that reality doesn't control you. You don't like the reality you see? Then change in here first, and the rest will write itself in your world, in your timeline.
Yep.
All right. Wow. This was like crazy. This was
So
like
crazy.
so mind blowing. I was like, okay, yawn, CERN, okay.
Right. I know. Because you were just kind of like, you're like, come up with the topic. And I sent the topic, and I was like, yeah, gosh, she's not going to like this.
But you know, whoa, did I?
But boy, it ended up some super important stuff.
It did. And it's really here, if you think about it, what does that teach us? Right? What can we learn? All right. With that said, I hope everybody hits the like button and share. And remember, you are powerful.
Yes.
Don't take our word on it. Do your own research and play with the clouds. See what you can do to control your reality. Thanks for watching.